We have to have awareness around all the narratives we've created for ourselves and the story that we've put on our chest as this is our, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, identity.
Identity,
basically.
Right? So we have to have awareness around that. And sometimes I find myself laughing at myself and questioning myself when I tell that to people. And I have to have enough awareness and strength within myself to know when I'm bullshitting myself and bring myself out of it.
Yeah.
Triple Shot Mindset.
How are you two doing today?
We are fabulous. Well, I can't speak for Kevs. I am well.
Basically broke his what? Thumb?
Thumbo.
Yeah. How are you going to deal with that? Good question. I've been dealing with it. Good. Using the left. Leftster now. Lefty.
You're lefty.
Lefty. Yeah. A lot of good people are lefties. A lot of good people.
Yeah.
Barack Obama.
Was it lefty?
Lefty.
I mean, is. Sorry.
Is.
I doubt that's changed.
I don't know if Bob Proctor was also a lefty or righty.
Yeah.
But I read something online which was quite moving. Okay. He said, faith and fear both require you to believe in something you cannot see. Choose wisely. And this was on my mind for the past 2 nights. And I figured to relate that to my own life. And all the decisions I've been making, for the most part, were based out of fear. And I'm missing out on memories, on relationships, on friendships, on business opportunities because I tend to create things in my head based out of fear. Versus there's some people out there that say, I'm just going to go with it. The universe has my back. This is God's plan. Whatever happens is going to happen, for my benefit. So let's discuss those. And I wrote down a few things, in my opinion, that we could be aware of on how to shift that mindset. It goes from not fearing everything to putting our faith into the universe and seeing it come to fruition. Okay? Because after all, I mean, if I'm going to not go to Cabo because I may be scared of the airplane ride, as you said, maybe I'll get run over by a truck because it's my destiny to still leave this planet. So why limit ourselves to our fears?
Thanks for including that really special statement that I made to you. I don't know if I mentioned getting run over by a truck. Close enough, though.
Yeah.
But my thought was exactly that. There's already a divine plan in place. So our fears just keep us from experiencing the growth, the expansion, and the joy that we could potentially have. They keep us small.
And I think some things that happen to us in our lives, whether it's people or businesses or whatever, we're just kicking the can down the road. Like those experiences are supposed to happen to us. So one of the things in this realm of business is, for example, every couple of years we hire a new salesperson because him and I are not as comfortable getting in front of a crowd to present ourselves. And every 2 years we kick ourselves because the person that we brought in as a messiah to help us turned out not to be the messiah we thought they were. And so eventually we're going to go through these learning pains and growing pains until we step up and do it ourselves.
Yeah, the lesson is inevitable.
Yeah, so we
just a matter of time.
Pushing it back.
Yeah.
So that's part of the fear stuff that is pushing us back. Now, if you ask me why don't I want to get in front of a crowd, or what if I pass out? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I embarrass myself? But what if I go in it thinking it's going to be great? I'm going to blow them away. I'm going to be the best speaker they've ever heard. I'm going to be memorable. I'm going to be charming. And they're going to love me. They're going to do business with me. I'm going to be the richest man in the world. Why can't we go into things with that mindset? Yeah. Why do most people tend to create the other narrative?
I mentioned once that life doesn't give us by default the opportunity to learn to trust ourselves. It's something that we have to make happen. We have to give ourselves the opportunity to learn self-trust. The default is kind of that life happens to you. We're born into a very specific structure. We have school, we have rules, we have an economic structure, we have a societal structure. and you just are sort of encouraged to go with it. So within that structure, we don't have the opportunity to explore what we're capable of.
Yeah.
If you don't make that opportunity. I think the reason we default to negative thoughts is because that's all we're really exposed to. We're sort of positioned as the victims of life rather than encouraged to be open to potential miracles. You were talking about miracles earlier today, Kevin.
Was I?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of miracles? I can't even remember what I was saying.
You were saying something about openness and the potential of miracles to happen to you if you approach life openly. I think it was at breakfast. And that was advice that you might have been
Well,
giving.
thank you. I say stuff like that all the time.
You do, actually.
It does. It does.
Yeah, no, I learned to approach life from a who cares if I die perspective. So when I flew over the Pacific, the Great Pacific, it's really great. I told myself sitting in that cabin of the aircraft, who cares? What's going to happen will happen. At least I'm going to be stronger. If I survive, I'll be stronger for it. So I approach life mostly, I mean, every part of my life is different, but for the most part, those compartments like travel, business, taking risks, I'm okay with going with a positive attitude, see what happens. Some parts, like he said, like speaking in front of people, I still have issues with. So it hasn't permeated into every part of my life, but I think 80% of it, I go in with a positive attitude.
Yeah, you really do. And an open heart.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference too. There's this concept psychologically that you prepare yourself mentally for outcomes. And if you already have a negative mindset, it seems to actually lessen the possibility that you could have a positive outcome.
Yeah.
But if you go in with an open mind and an open heart, it seems to increase the possibility that you could have a miraculous or wonderful outcome. But I have a concern here and a question for you, wiser owls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it something that you can do fake it till you make it with? Or is it something you just have to keep practicing until it becomes real?
I think you fake it or you make it.
And the reason I say that so quickly is because I remember after my divorce, I felt like the safety net of someone pushing me and encouraging me left. And I was so codependent that I didn't know any better. And that person was responsible for being my rock, right? And so after that vanished overnight, I had to fake it till I made it. So I had to put more faith in myself than more fear in myself. I had to make sure that I did things, even though I didn't want to do them, and pretend I'm enjoying it, pretend I'm okay with it, until it got to a point that it became normal for me.
Yeah.
And so for me, I had to fake it. And some people can practice it. I mean, that's great. But I had to do it out of desperation, not inspiration.
Yeah.
And if you do things out of desperation, you quickly have to conform and learn and do, because you only have yourself to rely on. So the other day, my kids found a dead rat in a fountain at their mom's house. And they said, "Ooh, Dad, there's a rat dead in there." Now, my old self would say, "Oh, God, ew, I don't want to touch that." But because my kids were looking at me, looking up to me to save the day, I went and grabbed that gelatinous ball of fur and threw it in the trash can, right? And I didn't make a face. I didn't make a noise like, "Ew, my God." I had to fake it.
Yeah.
And now if I have to go scrub off a skunk off the floor downstairs, I'll do it because I've already done that before. So my advice is to fake it, push yourself through those situations, and you'll come out more convinced that you are that, success story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Maybe the faking it till you make it is the practice.
It is, because if you wait till the time comes and you're ready,
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to have as much motivation to do it because you can always put it off. So to you two, okay, sometimes you got to do it out of desperation. And you got to put yourself in that situation that you have to do something,
Yeah.
right? So I wrote down a few things, at least in my opinion. This is just subjective because, I'm not the most objective person in the world.
Well, that's a nice change.
Right.
Refreshing.
Today.
Today.
Right. But these are my 3 ways that I have to, well, now it's 4 because you mentioned one of them.
Nice.
That you have to put yourself through that. But choose the opposite of what your fears and traumas tell you. That would be my first lesson. If my trauma tells me that, let's say, going on a trip with turbulence and it's going to be uncomfortable, then I have to push myself through that. I can't let that last experience be my overall experience with flight. If I fear touching a dead rat, I have to push through it. So for me, first of all, pushing through it and not gauging it against another experience you've had that is similar. Because I can go through life saying, oh, well, I failed in business 3 times, therefore I will not go into business the 4th time.
Yeah.
Or I can say, well, those 3 weren't right for me. The next one's going to be right for me.
Exactly.
So we have to have that mindset to correct that thought pattern and go from a fear-based thought to a faith-based thought.
You're so smart.
I have a question.
She's so smart.
I'm always
He's
there.
a whiz. Erd.
Go ahead with your question.
My question.
Go ahead.
Can you call it a question?
Quest.
My quest. Okay, check it out.
Mm-hmm.
I know folks who would not say that it's fear that's stopping them. Like they've repeated it to themselves so many times. I'm one of them, by the way. When I say I know folks, I'm just talking about myself.
Folk.
I know folk named Amanda. It's like you don't even feel the fear anymore because you've repeated it so many times. It's just now, going back to last week's, it's just a story you tell yourself. You're like, oh, I'm not afraid. I've just failed in business 3 times, so this obviously isn't for me.
Yeah.
What's the approach for them? Or are they like lost cause if they're that made up about it?
Well, that would be the awareness in the 3rd step I was going to talk about.
Sorry.
But it's good because let's talk about that.
Okay.
We have to have awareness around all the narratives we've created for ourselves and the story that we've put on our chest as this is our, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, identity.
Identity.
Basically.
Right? So we have to have awareness around that. And sometimes I find myself laughing at myself and questioning myself when I tell that to people. And I have to have enough awareness and strength within myself to know when I'm bullshitting myself and bring myself out of it.
Yeah.
So we got to have awareness around the stories we tell ourselves, right? The identity we try to take on. And if we have that awareness and we are true with ourselves and we can hear that little tiny voice in our head saying, but that's not true. I'll give you guys an example. Me and Kevin, we believed that if we go to a seminar to speak with people, because we're not white, that other people would not want to do business with us, that we wouldn't be able to speak well, and therefore people wouldn't like us. That's why we kept on hiring salesperson after salesperson to represent us. And one day I thought to myself, do I really feel okay with this, putting myself down because I think I'm not capable of speaking well? That's why we're doing this podcast. One of the reasons I wanted to do a podcast was to prove to myself that yes, I can. Yes, I can be better than other people that I'm hiring to represent me. So if we change that narrative in our head about what we're capable of doing and what we're not, we can do anything we want to. So let's not say, well, that person's white, they can probably better speak in public. They can probably sell better. No, it's not. That's just the thing we tell ourselves. And at the end of the day, because we have to get that lesson out of the way, that shit keeps coming back again and again and again until we fire everyone. Not you.
Thanks.
But we become our own representations in the face of the business atmosphere.
If we just stop paying her, she should just go away by herself. We don't have to fire nobody.
Well, no, because, we still feed her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of me that easily.
Yeah. The third thing I wanted to tell you guys, at least in my opinion, subjective, of course, but
So new.
create happy and successful narratives around the decisions you're going to make.
You know who the queen of this is? Louise Hay.
Yes.
Have you ever listened to Sweet Lou?
No.
May she rest in peace.
May she.
Creator of Hay House. Okay,
Yeah.
we're familiar with this.
Absolutely.
So Louise Hay has quite a story. And when I needed a little brainwashing like 6 months ago, because I was really spiraling down into a lot of stories about my limits, how I wasn't capable of anything. Sorry, just that trash truck going by. It's major. All this trash, quite literally, in my brain. And I sought out Louise Hay, and she's all about creating narratives and stories in your head that are positive and uplifting. And sure enough, by listening to her videos and by listening to her speak, just the conviction that she had in sharing, like, you are capable of this, you can do this, say it. And I would say it along with the thing. These things were recorded in like the 1980s. I know that's not that long ago, but I wasn't even a twinkle at that point. Okay.
You could have been.
Maybe I was a twinkle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I was a twinkle. I just wasn't a fetus. So I'm listening, I'm talking, I'm repeating it. And I'm like, I do walk into a room and light the room up. I do have the ability to create anything I dream. I do have the capacity to write books and to travel and see the world and put my best self forward. And everybody loves me. I mean, it was almost sickeningly positive when I first started listening. And after a couple of weeks, I really did wash my brain. Like I brainwashed and must have shifted some neural pathways. It was the best drug. So it's exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Fill your mind with positive shit.
Yeah. With those narratives, like if I was going to concentrate on the journey, let's say I'm a outcome person. And if I was going to just focus on the outcome, let's say I'm going to have the best relationship of my life with this person. I'm going to have the best business in this, vertical or whatever it may be. If I had that mindset and I didn't look at the path getting there, I'd be much more faithful than fearful because I like the outcome. I look at the outcome, I get happy, I get excited. But sometimes I tend to look at the path getting there. And if the path, to me, I create narratives around fear and what if I can't, what if she hates me, what if this happens, what if that happens, then we're not going to get there. So you too, I'm telling you, okay, if you have an inspiration from
The Divino.
Robert Divino, right? If we have an inspiration, let's say a person comes into our lives that happened to match everything we always wanted. But all of a sudden we get cold feet because the path getting there is going to be scary. Or a business idea pops into our head or a book idea comes into our head and we think to ourselves, well, it's going to take me 6 months to write it. What if no one buys it? What if it's going to be a flop? We cannot let that information go into the ether.
Yeah.
So we have to squash it as soon as it comes in. And we have to have awareness when it comes in so that we can squash it.
Yes. This is why I love meditation. Because I think Amanda pre-meditation was not that aware of my own thoughts. I was just living my thoughts as reality. I could never really hear them. But then when I started developing a little practice where I was actually listening to the noise in my head, I started to hear some of the stories I was telling myself. So to cultivate awareness, how do you guys do it? I'm obsessed with meditation, but obviously there are other ways.
You just have to be hyper aware of the thoughts that are going to either push you towards a better life, better outcomes, or the ones that are going to bring you down.
What if you can't even hear them?
But you can't see them. Like I can't see my thoughts. I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe I've had too many Red Bull.
Like synesthesia, or what do you mean you can see your thoughts?
Well, I can see the thought coming in. Let's say, I don't know, it's about my kids going to public school or private school. And I think about, let's say, I want them to go private school because it's a better experience for them. And then I start seeing the thought of like money coming to the play, or it's going to be expensive, da, da, da. And if I see that limiting belief coming in, or that issue trying to manifest itself into a bigger thing, I see it growing. And I say, no, I'm going to deflate you. I'm going to not give you any energy. You're going to just die like a tumor, and I'm going to throw you out. But you have to see it. And I see them.
Do you
I see with relationships the same way. If I have something that's growing into my head about, oh, this person picked their nose, and I keep saying that, I don't know why.
Yeah.
But this person
Noted. Like this come twice in a row now.
Oh, this person picks their nose, or this person has this train of thought that I don't agree with. If I give it thought, obviously it's going to get bigger and bigger. So I see it, there in its infancy stage and tell myself, this is not going to be relevant to this path or this journey. Let's get rid of it. Now, if it's something that's big, if it's life changing, if it's problematic, yes, I see it and I dissect it and see which part of it is relevant to my journey and which one of isn't. But if it's a small thing, most people take that small thing and they feed it water and thoughts and more fear and thoughts and water, and it becomes big and big.
It doesn't eat food?
The food is your fear.
Yeah, your attention.
Yeah. So if I see it as what it is, it's just a little fear based on some trauma that I've had in the past, and I say it's not real, I can't see it, why am I giving it so much attention, although I do see my thoughts, then let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
Let's stop feeding it.
Yeah, maybe the attention isn't the bad part. Like you can have awareness, that's a form of attention, but if it starts to consume you, you know you've slipped into fear.
Yeah.
If you look at it maybe like I know in psychology some people look at it as a child, like they're reparenting their mind, like, oh, that's just a little thing, that's just a trauma or a wound or whatever. They can transmute it. So maybe it's not attention that's bad. It's just the type of interaction you're having with your thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm curious because you guys share 100% of your DNA. So I'm wondering, you know, the psychologist in me is saying, is it nature or is it nurture? Or are you guys identical? Can you two see your thoughts the way that Ardi does?
Absolutely. He's very wise. My example, and I keep mentioning this because it was a triumphant moment in my life, is when I overcame the fear of flying. To everything that this young man said, the first time you have to distract yourself, like as soon as I sat in that airplane and said, holy shit, you have to fake it. And my fake it till my make it was drink wine like everybody else and pretend, oh, I'm so comfortable and cool. Let me scroll through this, TV monitor and pretend I'm watching something when the whole time I'm thinking, holy fuck, we're going to go down into the Pacific. 2, 3, 4 hours into the flight, I'm like not comfortable. But my thought still says, oh shit, what if this thing tumbles into the Pacific and the water temperature is so cold, I'm not going to survive.
Well, most people don't survive the initial 10,000 foot
That's
drop.
true. So, to his very wise point, you see it coming. You see the thought becoming like ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you said, fuck you, you fucking retard. Sorry, did I say that out loud? Beep. I tell myself, you idiot, what are you doing? Like, this is becoming like a snowball. It's getting bigger and bigger the more you think about it. So you quickly say, not going to happen. Even if I die, so be it. Let me focus on the outcome. Wow, I'm going to land in Vietnam. Yeah. I'm going to go, open the door opens, I smell pho instantly.
Fart?
Pho.
Oh, pho.
And it's going to be a fun experience for me. So then I stopped thinking about the path. I focus on the destination.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So you both mentioned something similar. You said you have to be outcome focused, and you say focus on the destination.
Yeah.
What is it about the process that's so screwy?
If it's a fearful thing for you, you focus on the end result. If you enjoy it, then enjoy the journey.
We had to go to Boise, Idaho to speak at a friend's chiropractic seminar, shindig.
Friend?
Sure. And for the first few days after he said you guys can get up on stage and talk to 70 chiropractors, I was excited about the outcome, that we're going to go speak to 70 chiropractors, we're going to get a lot of business out of it, we're going to be on our yacht in Newport Beach one day, drinking Mai Tai, which was the outcome. But the more I started thinking about it, I'm like, well, I have to go up there on stage. What if I don't have my notes? What if I forget something? What if there's a guy in the audience who's going to ask me stupid questions? What if this? What if that? And that destination became blurry, and the path became lit.
Interesting.
And the more I gave it thought, like he did, my wise brother, the more I focus on the path, I started lighting it up more.
Yeah.
And I started seeing all the different things that could go wrong.
And it becomes a labyrinth.
Yeah. So by the day we got there, I didn't want to go downstairs to the seminar room. Yeah. I was so scared because I thought to myself, I'm going to either stumble on stage. I'm going to not be able to speak whatever I want to talk about. I may say something that doesn't make sense. I may feel like a fool. I may this. What if no one comes up to say good job? What if no one claps? So I didn't want to go downstairs because the path I had created for myself, the path was so illuminated with all these different issues that became my reality. Damn. So I called downstairs and said, oh, I have an issue with my throat. I can't talk. The next time around, he said, well, it's not going anywhere. Why don't you guys do it next week? I'm like, fuck, now I got to go do it again. And that's what I'm talking about. If the universe is trying to push you through something, it's going to bring it up again and again and again. So the next time I put out of my head, I got on the airplane with him to Oakland first and then to Boise, Idaho. Nowhere along that path was I thinking about the talk. I was just thinking about we're going to get $100,000 out of this after we're done with all these clients. And once we got there, even at the time when he was writing my name up on the board that this is going to be our next speaker, I didn't even look at the board. I didn't want to create any kind of fear for myself. So I just got up there on my own terms. No one called my name because I just went up there and I started speaking. And it was such a nice talk that on the elevator ride back upstairs, a few people came in the elevator with us and they said, that was such a great talk. That's such a great, you have so much knowledge about marketing. Wow, we want to work with you. So my advice is don't look at the path if that's what's going to scare you. Going to Vietnam, obviously scary, on an airplane by yourself in the middle of the Pacific. But don't think about that. Think of the outcome. Think about the beach you're going to be laying on. Think about all the money you're going to be making. Think of the appearance on KTLA talking about your book. That part gets me excited. Getting the business loan, getting like all the doors slammed in your face, that's not something that we're really concentrating on. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Isn't that great?
He's on fire.
So this young man who is very smart,
obviously,
he told me a few years ago that somebody that he knows, I can't remember who, and even my mom, she said, every time I want to go as a teacher to speak in front of the crowd or the students, she would get butterflies. And she said, I had a choice whether to think to myself, the butterflies are excitement or is fear. And I would say, oh my God, I'm so excited, even though it was butterflies. She said, oh, that's excitement. That's what excitement feels like. So that's what I do when I want to get on that massive 787 Dreamliner. Going across the Pacific. And there's a little bit of fear in me and my hands get all wet, damp. I tell myself, oh, that's excitement. It's not fear. And when it's excitement, it pushes you to say, you know what? Wow, let's go forward, see what happens. Kind of like the talk that he had to give and I had to give too. When we got to that place and he was writing our names down, the feeling I got was, oh shit. But then I said, you know what? That's excitement. So I fooled my brain into thinking that's a feeling of excitement, which made us get up and just walk happily to the front and speak.
Oh my God, that's so good. I love it. Turn your fear into exhilaration. Redefine it.
Yeah.
I used to do theater in high school. And God knows I loved being on that stage. Absolute horror for the attention. But leading up to that, I would get so sick. So I loved being on stage. I loved delivering my lines. I loved the applause at the end. And I was damn good at it. I won Actress of the Year my first year and last year.
You did?
It was my first and last year in
Bravo.
theater. Thank you. Wow. And I remember I'd get so sick beforehand that I would have to skip meals or I would vomit. Like that was just my thing. Like I'm really going to throw up. Sorry, to try to eliminate the naughty words.
Yeah.
And I would do something similar. I'd be like, look, if I can just make it through this, as soon as I get on stage, I'm going to be okay. And as soon as my foot passed the threshold of backstage to on stage, all the butterflies disappeared. And it was just this crazy focus and the exhilaration. And that's it.
Yeah.
So it's like, had to focus on that outcome just like you said.
Did you exit stage right or left?
Different every time, depending on the block.
Which one would you rather?
Of the scene. Honestly, stage left.
Stage left.
That was my go-to.
What if they have like speakers and wires and shit?
They did. And sometimes there was a piano. And I was known for never memorizing my lines. This was another thing that would freak me out because I'd realize as I was about to step onto the stage, I have no freaking idea what I'm supposed to be saying. And I would make it up.
Yeah.
And I did this even with Shakespeare. I remember at the end of shows, my teacher would say, I liked your version of Shakespeare tonight, Amanda. But I just loved being on stage so much. There was going to be no barrier for me. It didn't matter. Like, I didn't like memorizing lines, so I didn't. I always felt like I was going to barf. So I went through that. But once I got on that stage, it was like game over.
Yeah. So what's the one thing that could highlight faith in your thoughts? Since you can't see faith or fear, both of them you can't. What's the one thing that you would recommend people do once they're about to make a big decision or go for what they want? And both of those things are lingering somewhere. Fear is going to be obviously more prevalent. Fear is going to be more, our mind likes to create fear because it wants to protect us and all that crap.
Yeah.
How do you go with faith? How do you highlight that in your subconscious? And how do you keep that as your motivation?
For me, it's the idea that I didn't put myself in this body that I can remember. I didn't put myself in this life. I didn't choose my parents. They say like you're responsible for all of that, but I don't remember. There must have been a higher intelligence that did it. And if I can trust that that higher intelligence is taking care of me and has a plan, then I can have faith.
Yeah.
If I believe that it's not me, little old me, who has to make all this shit happen, that there's something bigger that wanted me here, suddenly I can focus on the faith.
Yeah.
Surrender is the key for me.
Yeah. I think ever since you taught me how to meditate correctly and how to do the breathing exercises, and I started to work with some spirits, ask them for signs and all that stuff, which is another podcast. And I saw that there is a greater force out there that is guiding you, that's holding you, that is your safety net in a way. Then I realized I have nothing to fear, because even if I go down the wrong path, now I'm not saying I'm going to do drugs and pass out with some hookers and cocaine on the floor here.
Well, that's too bad.
Oh,
You're missing out.
Right. But decisions I make regarding people I choose to keep in my life, or people I choose to pursue, or business I choose to pursue, if I know that behind me and around me and all everywhere, there are guides and there are forces beyond my comprehension that are making sure that I'm staying on the path that's already predetermined for me, then fear has no place in my vocabulary. So instead of saying, oh, I'm going to go to Kabul, for example, but shoot, what if my airplane goes down? What if this happens? What if I hate it? What if they don't let me come back? What if I said, I'm going to go love it. I'm going to go there for a week. I'm going to have Mai Tai and old fashions on the beach. I'm going to get a great tan and a great massage and come back to tell you guys about it. Yeah. Why don't more people go from that? So my choice of choosing is to think about things that are going to be positive, things that are going to work out for me, things that are going to be adding to my life experience. And so if I come from that, even though you don't see fear and faith, I do believe that we can see things in our mind and choose to not give it any weight, so that we can keep faith alive and keep being excited about the outcome. Yeah.
My motto is BO.
Body odor.
Bring it on.
Well, no, be optimistic. Which is bring it on.
That was my next guess.
Yeah. Dr. Laura Schletzinger. You know who she is?
Heard of her.
Dr. Laura, yeah.
She used to have a show, Great Mind. And she said every morning you wake up, you have a choice. To say, oh my God, beautiful morning, it's going to be a great day. Or, oh my God, horrible morning, horrible day. So I go with the first one. Beautiful morning, beautiful day. Good things will happen. That's my BO. Be optimistic. Yeah. Even like when I put shitload of money into the stock market, it's not like, oh my God, what if I lose it? It's like, you know what? It's gonna do well. Even if it doesn't, you just wait and you're like, it's gonna do well next year. So everything in life, I feel like after you pass 40, you haven't yet. You got a couple months to go.
Next week.
Oh, is it?
You have no choice but to be optimistic. You have no choice because the other option, the other option is shit.
Yeah, trust or combust. I once said.
Trust or combust.
Right, and the Rudd rule.
Yeah,
all those things are coming together.
Really.
And what was the other rule we came up at breakfast, which is going to be another podcast?
Pimp.
Yeah, pimp.
Pimp.
I can't remember what it
PIMP.
stands for.
Oh, I know.
What is it?
Talk about it later.
Okay, let's not give it away now.
No.
We got
We'll
the
bring the
B.O.,
pimp rule
pimp,
around
and
next week.
Rod.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful rules.
Good
Beautiful.
stuff.
Beautiful.
Triple Shot Mindset.